Utah is a land of beautiful, jagged paradoxes. Its towering red rock fins and sweeping salt flats are as breathtaking as they are hostile. But beyond the scenic vistas, Utah's deserts and canyons hide the traces of ancient lives that still raise more questions than answers. From cliffside granaries perched at impossible heights to haunting rock art panels that seem to watch your every move, these landscapes hold stories shaped by survival, belief, and an abrupt, unexplained change. These aren't just ruins, they are quiet mysteries waiting to be explored through what remains etched into stone and earth. Today, we journey into the most remote corners of the West to uncover the forbidden secrets of those who vanished into the wind. 1. Range Creek, the canyon that time forgot. Range Creek Canyon sits tucked away on the eastern edge of Utah's Book Cliffs, a place that feels and is deliberately hidden. To reach it, you must survive miles of punishing dirt roads, navigate steep, crumbling canyon walls, and endure a silence so profound it feels heavy. This extreme geography acted as a natural fortress for nearly 1,000 years, effectively erasing the canyon from the maps of modern explorers. For centuries, ranchers and travelers passed by the mouth of the canyon, never suspecting that just a few miles inside lay one of the most significant archaeological finds in North American history. It remained a world apart, sealed off from the chaos of the 20th century by nothing more than sheer verticality and the luck of being ignored. 2. A time capsule untouched by modern hands. What makes Range Creek truly eerie and incredibly valuable to science is what didn't happen there. Unlike almost every other ancient site in the American West, this canyon was never hollowed out by looters or pot hunters. Roads didn't cut through the ancient plazas, and industrial farms didn't level the ground. When archaeologists finally gained access in the early 2000s, they didn't just find crumbling walls, they found a living world paused in mid-breath. They walked into rock shelters where 1,000-year-old footprints were still pressed into the dust as if the walker had just stepped away. Stone tools lay exactly where they had been dropped, and corn cobs sat in storage bins waiting for a hunger that would never be satisfied. It is, quite literally, a time capsule of a lost way of life. 3. The enigma of the Fremont people. The inhabitants of this canyon were the Fremont people, a culture that occupied Utah from roughly 300 to 1300 CE. To archaeologists, the Fremont are the ultimate wildcards. They don't fit the neat, orderly narrative of the ancestral Puebloans to the south. They were masters of a unique hybrid lifestyle blending sophisticated, permanent corn farming with the rugged, opportunistic grit of nomadic hunters. Their social structure remains a puzzle. Their art shifts wildly from one valley to the next, and their architecture is a chaotic mix of styles. This suggests a society that fiercely valued local independence and adaptation over the rigid, centralized traditions seen in other Great Basin cultures. 4. Granaries, the high-altitude vaults of survival. As you scan the canyon walls, your eyes will eventually settle on tiny stone and mud structures perched on narrow ledges hundreds of feet above the floor. These were not homes for the faint of heart. They were high-security storage vaults. These granaries, some no larger than a kitchen appliance, were built with incredible precision using flat stones and a durable mud mortar. They were placed in these impossible locations to protect the community's lifeblood, seeds and dried corn from moisture, rodents, and potentially from raiding parties. The sheer physical effort required to haul heavy building materials up those vertical cliffs tells us that for the Fremont, survival was a vertical game, and their banks were built in the sky. 5. Life beneath the earth, the pit house communities. While the food was kept in the heavens, the people lived rooted in the earth. Scattered along the canyon's benches are the remains of pit houses, circular or rectangular dwellings dug several feet into the ground. This design wasn't just aesthetic. It provided vital natural insulation against the desert's brutal 40-degree temperature swings. Excavations show that these were deeply loved homes, not temporary camps. The hearths are thick with dozens of layers of ash from centuries of fires. The floors were meticulously plastered and repaired, and the walls were reinforced time and again. Generations of families cooked, slept, and shared stories in these subterranean rooms, creating a vibrant domestic life in the heart of a silent wilderness. 6. The Great Mystery. Why did they leave? Around 1300 CE, the heart of Range Creek simply stopped beating. This is the mystery that keeps historians awake at night, the silent abandonment. Unlike the dramatic falls of other civilizations, there is zero evidence of a violent end here. There are no burned roof beams, no signs of a desperate battle, and no mass graves. Instead, it looks like a soft departure. It's as if the entire community reached a collective, calm decision that it was time to move on. They left behind their heavy grinding stones, their pottery, and even their precious hard-earned food stores. It creates a haunting scene, a perfectly functional world abandoned for reasons we can only guess. 7. Climate versus culture, the search for answers. Why would you walk away from a place so well prepared? The most dominant theory points to the Great Drought that plagued the Southwest in the late 13th century. In a high desert environment, farming is always a gamble. If the rains fail for even 3 years, the system collapses. However, some researchers believe the cause was social rather than environmental. The Fremont weren't a unified empire, but a web of small communities. If the trade routes they relied on for salt or obsidian shifted, or if neighboring groups began to migrate, the residents of Range Creek may have felt suddenly isolated. They likely chose to abandon their isolation to join larger, more secure cultural groups emerging to the south and east. 8. The rock art, voices etched in the stone. The canyon walls serve as a massive, open-air gallery for the Fremont imagination. You'll find haunting, life-size trapezoidal figures with broad shoulders, elaborate necklaces, and strange horned headdresses. Unlike many rock art sites that feel distant or purely ceremonial, the images in Range Creek feel deeply intimate. They are layered one over another, spanning hundreds of years, creating the impression of a long, visual dialogue. Some figures appear to guard the granaries below them, while others depict the bighorn sheep and deer that shared the canyon. These images are the only written record we have of their fears, their triumphs, and their identity. 9. The rancher's secret and modern restraint. For over 50 years, Range Creek was a closely guarded secret held by Waldo Wilcox, a rancher who realized early on that the ruins on his land were a national treasure. He kept the gates locked, chased off trespassers, and never allowed a single artifact to be moved. When the land finally transitioned to the state of Utah and the University of Utah, it became a model for low-impact archaeology. Instead of digging every pit house, researchers used non-invasive technology and careful documentation. The goal is to keep the canyon intact as a living laboratory, proving that sometimes the best way to honor the past is to leave it exactly where it was found. 10. Transformation, a snapshot, not an ending. Standing in the center of Range Creek today, the air feels heavy with the presence of the past. It is a place that forces a shift in perspective. The Fremont didn't just vanish into thin air, they transformed. They were a people defined by their ability to change, and their departure from the canyon was likely just another act of adaptation. They moved, they intermarried, and they became the ancestors of the modern Ute, Paiute, and Puebloan peoples. What we see in Range Creek isn't a graveyard of a dead culture, but a snapshot of a resilient people in the middle of a transition. It reminds us that every ending is simply the beginning of a different story. Range Creek is a place where the veil between the past and the present feels incredibly thin. It challenges our modern ideas of progress, showing us that even a successful, well-fed community can one day decide to walk away from everything they've built. These ruins don't offer easy answers, but they do offer a rare, unfiltered look at the human spirit's ability to endure and adapt. As the sun sets over the book cliffs, the granaries still stand their lonely watch, and the desert continues to guard the secrets of those who once called this canyon home. What do you think was the final straw that made the Fremont leave their canyon paradise behind? Was it the weather or something more human? Let us know your theories in the comments below.